頑張ってください。
はい、ありがとうございます。
What's up, everybody? It's Yeong here with a discussion of Hideo Kojima's upcoming new game. So recently, Kojima revealed through an interview with Japanese magazine Famitsu that his new game would be an action game, stating that players who enjoy AAA titles like The Division and Uncharted will be able to play it smoothly. For more details on that, check out my previous video. In this video, I want to discuss my predictions on the kind of action game Kojima's new title could be. And yeah, I know, it's still pretty early to speculate, but that has never stopped me before, so fuck it. Let's begin by focusing on the fact that he used The Division and Uncharted as examples. I think Kojima was very deliberate in choosing those two games, as there are a lot of things they have in common. Namely, both games are action-adventure games with cover-based third-person shooter combat featuring very similar mechanics. Both feature a third-person camera view. They both feature extensive third-person mobility when weapons are holstered, especially Uncharted. Both feature third-person shooting mechanics with a camera that snaps to over-the-shoulder aiming when weapons are drawn, and they both place a large emphasis on using cover and moving between covers to effectively take down enemies. Mechanically, the two games function quite similarly at their core, so I can only assume that Kojima's new game will feature similar core mechanics as well. Kojima himself even hinted that players who play games like The Division and Uncharted will feel right at home with his new game. Now, before you immediately jump to the conclusion that Kojima's game will be your typical cover-based third-person shooter, keep in mind that A, this is Kojima we're talking about, and B, both The Division and Uncharted feature elements of adventure and exploration despite their linear structure. The Division allows you to explore a massive post-apocalyptic version of New York City, while Uncharted takes you through vast and beautiful landscapes and ruins with secrets to uncover. Similarly, Kojima's games have always encouraged some form of exploration despite their linear structure, rewarding players with hidden items and equipment, secrets, and Easter eggs. While I'm sure the new game will place a heavy emphasis on action, I also wouldn't be surprised if the final product ended up being closer to action-adventure, like The Division and Uncharted, rather than just straight-up linear third-person shooting like something you would find in Gears of War. I'm not saying one's better than the other, I'm just saying that Kojima used The Division and Uncharted as examples, so I'm assuming that his new game will be more similar to those. Kojima also disclosed that he wouldn't call his new game an open-world title, which may raise concerns for some that it could end up being too linear, but I don't think that will be the case. You wouldn't call Uncharted 4 an open-world game, it's definitely linear, and yet it features levels that almost feel like open worlds due to the multiple paths the players can take to get from point A to point B, and due to how expansive each area and level is. I fully expect Kojima to draw from this kind of level design, and if his past work is any indication, there is little doubt in my mind that the level designs for Kojima's new title will be compelling and offer a feeling of interconnectedness. Think of the level designs for Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. While you wouldn't call those games open world, they still feature one giant level which players can freely traverse, even if not all areas are accessible from the get-go. And as players progress through Shadow Moses or Big Shell and obtain new items and equipment, more areas unlock, which in turn moves the story and the game forward. Both of those Metal Gear games maintain a linear structure while being expansive and open. Admittedly, Metal Gear Solid 3 and 4 did take a slightly more linear approach to progression. While areas are interconnected in those games, you normally won't visit an area more than once or twice, since progression mostly revolves around moving forward from Area A to Area B and solving smaller, self-contained levels. Regardless, both Snake Eater and Guns of the Patriots featured large enough areas that still encouraged exploration, and their world design did allow for more variety in environments. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I wholeheartedly expect Kojima to use his past level design methods and experiences to produce a game world that maintains linearity while feeling expansive and interconnected, like in the Metal Gear games. Me personally, I would love to see Kojima go back to the Metroidvania style of level design and progression that you found in Metal Gear 1, 2, Solid 1, and Solid 2. I miss exploring one giant facility and solving it like a Rubik's Cube, but that's just me, we'll see what happens. Just don't expect to be free-roaming in open worlds on a scale found in Metal Gear Solid 5, and maybe that's for the better, as density is often preferred over volume when it comes to the scale of a game world. Speaking of Metal Gear, one question that many people may have is if it's possible that Kojima's new game will be a stealth game. After all, Metal Gear games are technically stealth action games, a subcategory of the action genre. While I wouldn't completely rule out the possibility, that seems highly unlikely to me. I get the feeling that Kojima wants to try something different now that he's finally retired from Metal Gear after all these years. Now, that's not to say that Kojima's new game won't feature some elements of stealth like Uncharted does. While Uncharted emphasizes action and adventure more than anything, it still features stealth as a tool, but the game doesn't entirely revolve around it either. So Kojima might integrate stealth to that degree. Just don't be too surprised if stealth doesn't end up being at the forefront of the experience. I truly do think Kojima's aiming to make a unique action game. One final topic I would like to discuss is the aesthetics that Kojima's action game will have. Both The Division and Uncharted have a present-day aesthetic, so one would assume that Kojima's new title will also take place in modern times, given Kojima's latest statement. But this is one area in which I expect Kojima's new game to drastically differ. Something interesting that Kojima stated in his interview with Famitsu was that the secret lies in the logo. In other words, the new Kojima Productions logo is a key element of the new game, and based on the logo alone, I'm already getting the feeling that the game setting and overall aesthetics will be rather unique and bizarre, adjectives that encompass much of Kojima's work. As I've stated before, I would definitely say that the game will be science fiction based on the futuristic nature of the logo. I also expect this action game to have some elements of horror. Not only does the logo feature a skull as its most prominent symbol, but Kojima has also stated in the past that he has a keen interest in further exploring the horror genre. Now, I'm not saying that it will be a horror game, just that there might be elements of horror, like the ones you can find in games like Metal Gear Solid 5, and stuff like the bizarre and disturbing imagery of this mechanical or cybernetic being with a skull for a head. With all said and done, after thinking about Kojima's latest revelations regarding his upcoming new title, my speculations have brought me to the conclusion that it will be a linear science fiction, third-person action-adventure shooter game featuring some horror elements, possibly some stealth elements, and an interconnected and expansive world design, as well as a deep story and complex characters. It's entirely possible that I'm reaching here, but at the very least, I do know that whatever Kojima comes up with next will be something unique and unpredictable, for better or for worse. Kojima himself hinted that while the game may not seem as way out as people might expect when it's announced, we'll understand once we play it. He also hinted at some parts of the game being so new that they require experimentation. It all sounds very interesting, and I'll definitely be looking forward to what Kojima has in store for us with his new game. With that, I would like to end this discussion video. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments below your own thoughts and theories about Kojima's upcoming action game based on the statements that he made to Famitsu recently. And to be further updated on gaming news, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out!